Hello everybody, welcome back to MS Project. Today we're looking at session 4, task allocation, and let's look at the objectives we'll be covering today. By the end of this session, the participants will be in a position to define what is project outline requirements, compare the project estimates to actual details, understand how to build agile project plans, describe how to work with scheduling tasks, describe project constraints, and finally describe how to control timing with constraints. Let's get started. Introduction. Now, a project basically is a consolidation of phases and tasks, and a project manager, while allocating tasks to resources, must consider all the 4 Ws. What are the tasks? When to assign the tasks? Who are the resources working on the tasks? Why in the project the resources should start work on the tasks. Now, resources start working on a project after they are assigned to their specific tasks by the project manager, and the relationship between the tasks form the schedule of the project. Let's look at how to define phases and outlining requirements. Now, a project outline is a collection of the subtasks grouped within a summary task. And in MS Project, each group of tasks within a summary task represents a project phase, and the tasks in MS Project have a tree-like hierarchical structure. Any summary task or task within a subtask under it gets its duration and cost information as a sum of its subtasks in the hierarchy. A summary task does not have its own timing or cost information. Representation of project outline on the Gantt chart. Now, the tasks in the project outline, that is including the summary tasks, are represented as a Gantt chart on the left of the Gantt chart table. And if a summary task is manually scheduled, MS Project wants by displaying a red Gantt bar. It indicates that the calculated duration for the subtasks do not match the summary task duration. Now, the summary tasks finish date field will also have a red underline to indicate a scheduling problem. So this is something that you have to note in case you decide to use manually scheduled tasks. Okay, now how do you create a manually scheduled task? The project manager can start by creating schedules for summary tasks or phases based on the work breakdown structure and subsequently add subtasks. MS Project 2010 provides a new scheduling mode for manual scheduling, manually scheduled, and manual scheduling prevents automatic movement of scheduled dates of a summary task when subtasks are added to it. The steps for creating manually scheduled summary tasks are given below. So the first thing you always do is to open an existing file in MS Project, then you create the summary tasks and set its task mode to manually scheduled. Enter the duration for the summary task and start date of the summary task. Start date also set by dragging the bar on the right Gantt chart to any desired time frame. You can create any other summary tasks based on the work breakdown structure. Now, subtasks to these summary tasks can be added now or later. You complete the plan by setting tasks below the summary tasks with scheduling method and duration of the task as desired. Now, you indent the subtasks. The Gantt chart displays a summary bar for manually scheduled summary tasks and displays a roll-up bar for the subtasks. You click on the location to insert a task and then press or tap on the insert key. And the following figure illustrates creating manually scheduled summary tasks. Okay, so let's do this very quickly. Open MS Project. So we have MS Project open. And now the next thing we're going to do is to create a new project file. We click on File. Then from the file, you scroll down to New section. Okay. Then click on Blank Project. Then click on Create. Then now we can start entering the tasks which have been given here. The first task is New Website Look and Feel. Tap on Enter. Now you notice as I type in this task that the task mode which has been assigned is manually scheduled. How do I know that this is a manually scheduled task? If you look at your task tab, on the tasks tab, in the task group, we have this pin. When you have anything with this pin, it means it's manually scheduled. And if it has this other icon, then this is automatically scheduled. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's enter the rest of the details. So this task is going to take us 2 days. So you type in 2D, then tap on enter so that you can do the rest of the tasks. So please note that if you want to enter days, you just type in D. If you want to enter hours, you type in H. If you want to enter months, you type in 2MO. Now, the reason why you are specifying that is there are some tasks which could also be scheduled in minutes, okay? So just to avoid that confusion, okay? Then you can specify a start date here. So I'll post this video here, enter the rest of the tasks, and when you come back, we'll have done all the tasks as they are in your slides. Okay, this is done. Let's save our work. We can call it, so file. We are going to save in the usual place we are saving. We save in the MS project folder. So scroll down, come to MS project, and call this website manual so that you know what exactly the file was all about. That is what was happening here. Okay, we move right along. Now, deleting of tasks. To delete tasks, you select the entire row in the Gantt chart table, including the task ID, and then you tap on the delete key. After deleting the task, the project manager needs to make sure that any task dependencies are adjusted as needed. Now, MS Project 2010 onwards comes with a unique feature of inactivating tasks, which is equivalent to deleting a task. Marking a task as inactive keeps the task in the project plan, but strikes it out with in the Gantt chart table with a gray line. Okay, it becomes like it's grayed out. If any auto-scheduled tasks are dependent on the inactive task, MS Project overlooks that inactive tasks while calculating the schedule for the other tasks. So we are going to do this practically. We are going to delete a task, and then after that, we are going to mark another task as inactive. Let's do this. So please go back to MS Project. Now I've inserted a task, this one here, client theme approval. So to insert a task, assuming that it's not there, can come here and click on delete tasks. Now to insert that particular task, you just right click above where you want to insert the task. So I'll come here, select insert tasks. Then this is a client theme approval. Okay. Then this is taking us 2 days. So type in 2D, then tap on enter. Okay. Now you've seen how to delete it. You just right click, then you select on delete task. And basically that is going to delete the task for you. That way it's gone. Now, let's say we want to make this update with customer inactive. So how do we go about this? You're going to click on the task you want to inactivate, and there are 2 ways of going about this. The first one is clicking on the task you want to inactivate. Then in the task tab under the schedule group, there's this icon here called inactivate. The second option is to use the task information dialog box. You know how to do that. Double click. After double clicking, you come to make sure in the general tab in the task information dialog box, then just below priority, there's this checkbox. Place a check mark there, then click on OK. And you notice now the task becomes grayed out. Make sure you save your work. We move on. So that is how we go about it. Now, building agile project plans. Agile project planning, also referred to as release planning, is about planning multiple sprints or levels that culminate in the release of the final deliverable. Having agile project plans helps the project managers to deal with any uncertainty in project schedules. Let's look at some of the benefits of agile. One, there is early visibility when tasks go off track and early realization of business value. There is collaboration and regular feedback to ensure quality, and to provide the right solution. Okay. Scheduling of tasks. Now, scheduling of tasks. The timing for executing the tasks and their relationship with each other defines the project schedule, and the project manager can make changes and set preferences for the tasks and their schedules when creating them. A project manager using MS Project can control scheduling using either manually scheduled or auto-scheduled modes. And in auto-scheduled mode, MS Project uses the old method of calculating task schedules based on the project start date and its dependencies, while in manually scheduled mode, the project manager can enter the task duration and dates anytime during the life cycle of the project. Okay. Now, working with the tasks, the first step while creating a task is to identify the individual action items. These individual action items can be considered as the individual tasks, and the parameters needed for creating the tasks are given below. The first one is the name of the task. Second one is how long that task is going to take, task duration. The third is the type of the task. The fourth is its priority, and basically what are the constraints that this task is facing. Okay. Let's look at each of these. Entering tasks. Now, creating a task in MS Project is as simple as entering the name for it, like what we did previously. Okay. Now, details of the task, such as its duration and type, can be entered at the same time, or you can do this later. Users can enter task information in the following three ways. One, by using the Gantt chart table, what we did. Two, by using the task information dialog box via the Gantt chart view. And number three, you can import tasks from either Microsoft Excel or Outlook. Now, entering tasks in the Gantt chart table. Now, the quickest and easiest way to enter all task names is through the Gantt chart table. The user can simply enter the name in the task name column, press the enter key, or tap on the down arrow key to move to the next blank row, and you enter another task and so forth until you complete doing it. Now, an automatic task ID is generated by MS Project for each task name. There is that column for task ID. And to enter the task in the Gantt chart table, you place the cursor in a blank cell in the task name column, and then you type in the name of the task. You tap on the delete or backspace key to delete or edit the name of the tasks. To move to the next cell, you press down the arrow key and then type the next name. To move to the next cell, you press the down arrow key and then type in the next task name, and so forth for all the task names. And the following illustrates entering tasks in the Gantt chart table. Okay, now we want to do this very quickly, so let's switch back to MS Project. I'll bring this here so that you can see both of them. Now I'm just going to use this, then I'll use save as to overwrite the details of this. So the first part is the same. So you remember we've learned how to delete the tasks. So what I'm doing is deleting multiple tasks. You highlight by clicking on them. Now these are the row tabs. After you do that, you tap on the delete key. Then I want to change the name of this. Maybe I can call this website look and feel SSU. File, then save as. Keyboard shortcut is F12, okay? Then website look and feel SSU. Website look and feel, then SSU. Okay. The next item here is a system study, which is going to take us 3 days, 3D. Then we move on to the next one, which is requirement gathering, which is going to take us 4 days. Okay. Now we're going to enter the rest of the tasks here. I'll pause the video, then when you come back, I'll have completed this. Okay, all done. Then we can save the work. After this, we need to indent something. Now, if you look at system study all the way to this is prototyping, these look like subtasks of the website look and feel SSU. Come click on the first cell, hold down your left mouse button, then drag the 3 subsequent tasks. Then in the task tab under the schedule group, there is this icon called indent tasks. Click on it, and that indents that set of tasks. Then after design templates, there are 4 indented tasks. So I'll post the video here. Now you know how to do it. Please do that as an exercise. Okay, we resume. Now, if you check on the dates of these particular tasks, notice I'm in manually scheduled mode. This is what we talked about, having red underlined tasks when you're working with manually scheduled mode. Now, let's set a project start date for this. Maybe we could have this starting somewhere in July. Go to project. You remember how to go about this. Click on project information. And remember, we want to schedule from the project start date. So make sure that this is selected. After that, click on this drop down arrow. We want this to start maybe on 15th of, okay, let's do this like 20th of July. Then click on OK. Then you save your work. Okay. So notice these are the summary tasks and they have this red bar just because they are manually scheduled. Okay. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them. Let's move on. Now, you can also enter tasks in the task information dialog box. So project managers can also enter tasks in the Gantt chart table using the task information dialog box by performing the following steps. You double click on a blank cell which displays the task information dialog box. You enter the task name in the name text box and then you click OK to save that particular task. And so users can add additional columns that are needed, and to do so, the steps are given here. So you scroll to the last column in the Gantt chart table and then click the drop down arrow on the header of the add new column to display the list of task related parameters. Then you select the required parameter to display it as a new column. Insert a task within the list of tasks. The user can select one task, the task row above which they want to add the new task, and click the top part of the task button. Okay, now we want to do this very quickly, and we can see we want to enter the task for following up with the customers. Let's go back to MS Project. Okay, let me scroll back. Now it's this task. Assuming that it's not there, I'll just delete it very quickly. Then we click on this particular row. Then make sure in the task tab, you can click on the information. And basically this gives you the task information. Remember, we can also double click and this will give us the same dialog box. Name, this is follow up with team. Follow up with team. Okay, and this was taking 1 day. Duration, click on this up arrow. And then if you want to enter the start and finish dates, you can do this. Now we're going to see this task information dialog box gives you a lot of control over a particular task, but we'll do that later. For now, let's just click on OK. And you can see that the task is inserted here. We move right along. Now users can add additional columns that they need, and to do so you perform the following steps. You scroll to the last column in the Gantt chart table and click the drop down arrows on the header of the add new column to display a list of task related parameters. You select the required parameters to display it as a new column. To insert a task within the list of tasks, the users can select the row above which they want to add the new task and click the top part of the task button in the insert group of the task tab. Let's do that very quickly. We switch back to MS Project. I don't know why it's doing this. Okay, we want to insert a new task, let's say the customer is supposed to review the prototype. Okay, we have this meeting already done. Let's see what else they are supposed to do. Okay, we don't have testing. Okay, we can add testing just after development. So right click on 13. Okay, then you select insert task, and this could be test the code. This could take 2 days. Type in 2D, tap on enter. Okay, and the task is added for you. Another thing we were talking about is adding columns. Now to do this, let's make sure we're in the Gantt sheet view. So come here and select, task sheet, not Gantt sheet, task sheet view, so that we hide that other side. Then we can add the column which we want to add here. You can see we have add new column. You click on this drop down arrow, okay? Then you can select from one of these. Notice, for example, we don't have the cost. We can scroll down here, then click on cost, okay? And the cost column is inserted for us. You could also rearrange these columns by drag and drop. To do this, you make sure you position your mouse pointer on the column header until you get this four-headed, okay? Once you get this four-headed, click, hold down and drag, and the line is what is going to show you where you're going to drop that particular column. Let's say maybe we want this immediately after the finish date, okay? And that is how you go about it. Okay, what about if I don't want to display this column? What do? You right click on it. Once you right click on that particular column, you select the option hide column, and the column is no longer displayed. Let's go back to the Gantt chart view. Okay, and we move right along. Now, the next way you can get tasks is to import them from Microsoft Outlook. And MS Project provides an easy way to import tasks created in Outlook 2010 into a project. The project manager can import Outlook tasks into MS Project by performing the following steps. The first one, you open MS Project 2010 and create a new project file. On the Insert group in the Task tab, you click the down arrow on the Task button and select Import Outlook Tasks. From the list of tasks, you select the checkbox adjacent to each task to import them into project. Click on OK to view the tasks imported in MS Project, and the imported tasks are added at the bottom of the task list in the Gantt chart table. And we have this illustration here. So how would we go about this? Let's switch back to MS Project. We were told to create a new file. So File, then New. Select blank project. Okay, double click to select that. Then make sure you are in the Task tab. Then in the Insert group, you go to Task. The last option from this drop-down list reads Import Outlook Tasks. Click on this, and this will launch for you MS Project where you can insert your tasks from. Now, currently I don't have MS Project installed. As you can see here, it's actually asking me to configure this wizard. I'll cancel out of this. Yes. And of course, there is this error you get. I don't have Outlook currently configured, and I didn't want to waste a lot of time configuring it during this. But that is how you go about it, and you can see the outcome given here. We move right on. The other thing is to import tasks from Microsoft Excel. Now, project managers can also import tasks from Excel into MS Project. And project managers can create and edit this list in Excel, and when finalized, they can import the task into MS Project. MS Project 2010 provides two templates for importing Excel data. These templates are located in the installed template section in the Backstage view in Excel 2010. These two templates are as follows. We have the Microsoft Task List import template and Microsoft Project Plan import export template. Okay, so let's look at this very quickly. Now, make sure before you do this, you disconnect from the internet. Some of these templates, I don't know what usually happens when you connect online, they usually are not displayed. So let's switch over to Microsoft Excel. Then you click File, New. Then you scroll down under the template section. These are the two templates we were talking about. We have the Microsoft Project Plan, Import Export template, and we have the Microsoft Project Task List Import template. Okay. So the steps to use the Microsoft Project Task List Import template are given below. Okay, so we have already opened this, and we want to select this and to create it, we click on the appropriate button to open the template in Microsoft Excel. You enter the task information, resources, and dates in the respective columns of the template. Save the file as an Excel workbook. Now you open MS Project 2010 and click the Open from File tab to display the Open dialog box. From the File Types drop-down list adjacent to the File Name text box, you choose Excel Workbook. Locate the Excel workbook containing the project details and click the Open button to start the import wizard. The first screen of the wizard displays the information about the import wizard, and then you click Next to continue with the wizard. So the following figure illustrates the display of MS Project import templates in Excel 2010. We have these two. Now, if a predefined map already exists, we're going to see what this is. Where Excel data columns are mapped into MS Project data columns, you select the Use Existing Map Radio button and specify the template. Else, you select the New Map Radio button and click Next. You specify the method of importing the file and click Next, and there are three methods to import the workbook. As a new project, append data to the active project, or maybe to merge the data into the active project. Click Next. Three checkboxes are displayed, and users can select either to import the tasks, resources, and assignments from the Excel workbook using the three checkboxes. You select the Import Include Headers to import column headings from the task list and click Next. Then from the Source Worksheet list box, you select the name of the worksheet from which the data needs to be imported. In the From and To columns of the given table, specify which columns in Excel map to which fields in the MS Project file. This is in case you didn't use an existing map when you started. Now, once the mapping is done for all the fields, you click on Finish. Let's do this very quickly. We're going to do this. Let's switch to Microsoft Excel. We want to use the Microsoft Project Task List Import template. Okay. Double click on this to open, and basically it opens to the information table. This just gives you a guide. Now come to your task table, and here you're going to enter the name of the task. You can enter the duration. Now you can enter these fields, but let's just focus on the name and the duration so that later we can add these fields in MS Project. We're going to do something simple. We want to assume we are planning for our graduation party, and we are going to fill in the tasks to do this very quickly. So the first task could be the food and the drinks. So this is prepare food and drinks. Then you tap on enter. Now this is going to be a summary task. Don't give it any duration. You come down here. This will be, you can either decide to cook the food or order it outside catering. Cook. or order food. Then this, you're also going to order the drinks. Now I'll enter the rest of the tasks to save on some time. And once you come back, I'll have already filled in all the details. So I'll pause here, and then once you come back, I'll have already entered the details. Okay, all done. Now all the tasks are given here, starting from preparation of foods. I'll scroll down to the very last task, which is cleaning up, that is collecting any remaining dirt or litter. And you notice now I told you can enter tasks even in minutes. So that is what we want to import. After you do this, you save your file. I'll click on the save icon, and this gives us the save dialog box. I'll click on more save options, and we save in the MS project folder, and we call this graduation party. Then click on save, and our workbook is saved. After that, you can close Microsoft Excel. We want now to import these tasks from Microsoft Excel. So what we do is click on File, then from File you select New, and then you select New from Excel Workbook. Then we select our graduation party, then click Open, which is going to launch the import wizard for us. Okay. Welcome to the project import wizard. So we just click next to continue. This is what we were talking about, new map or existing map. We're going to see how we create the maps in the very last step. Now this is a new map. We've not done this before. We click on next. How do you want to import this? These are the radio buttons we were talking about. We want to do this as a new project. Click next. Then select the types of data you want to import. Now, we usually have task, resources, and assignments. You can select all these, or you can select one. Currently, we only have the tasks and their duration, so we select that. We click next to move on to the next option. And make sure you select this because our data contains headers or column headings. Next, then we have the mappings of the columns in Microsoft Excel to the columns in MS Project. Now, since we used the MS Project task list when creating this workbook in Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Project is able to figure out everything correctly. Now, if it is another workbook which you had created and these columns don't have the corresponding mappings, what you usually do is click on this drop-down arrow and you select the corresponding field, okay? So I'll just escape out of this because everything is mapped correctly. We move to them, we click on next to move on to the next, and before I forget, you make sure you select the correct worksheet which contains your details, tasks, okay? Although this was done correctly for us by Microsoft MS Project. Now we finally click next, and basically if you want to save this, if it's something you'll be doing quite frequently, feel free to save the map. Now we are not going to save it. So click on finish, give it some time, and you notice that basically it does a good job at this. Now this is what we were talking about, indenting these two, okay? Setting up the venue, we click on indent that, and you notice what MS Project is doing for us as we select the subtasks under the summary tasks. So guest arrival, we go up to that, then indent this, then the last one is cleaning up the venue, then you indent this, and everything comes up as it should. Of course, feel free to select the convenient date for your graduation party. Now, click Save, and we're going to go to MS Project, and then this is going to be the name we're going to use. Click Save, and our work is saved. We move right along. Now, setting task duration, units, and work. The duration assigned to individual tasks sums up to define the timing of the entire project. MS Project 2010 cannot determine the duration of a task, but it helps a project manager to identify the effect of timing of tasks on the total duration of the project. Estimating the duration must be done using the project manager's experience and knowledge. That is why you remember when we started, I said that up to 70% of either project success or failure depends on the project manager. Now, let's look at how to identify the task type. Every project contains one or all three types of tasks. These tasks have an effect on the schedule of the task when scheduled using the auto-scheduled mode. We have the fixed duration, we have the fixed unit, and the fixed work. Fixed duration could be something like a shift like a watchman's shift or a guard shift. No matter how many guards you have in that shift, it does not, if it's supposed to start from 6 to 6, assigning more guards does not change or affect the work. Also, something like a meeting, whether you have 2 people, 10 people, or 20 people, does not change that. We have fixed units. Fixed units is like when you embark on a project to like produce 200 books, or like our graduation party, you're preparing food for 200 guests. So you are preparing a fixed number of units or items. Next one is fixed work. Fixed work is if we go back to like the software development plan we have been using, if somebody is tasked with installing that system into the client's premises, that is what we are calling fixed work. Okay. Now, the steps to define task types are given below. You select the task name in the Gantt chart table and click information in the properties group to give you the task information dialog box. Click the advanced tab and select the appropriate task type for the selected task from the task type drop-down list. Then you click OK to save the task type. And we have an illustration of this. Now, what you're going to do is to switch to the software project plan. That is where we have review software specification, budget with team. Now, switch back to MS Project. Then make sure you have the software development plan open. If it's not yet open, you know how to go about it. The task we're interested in is the review software specification budget with the team. Now, this is found under the analysis software requirements. Double click on this to get the task information dialog box. Then from here, you go to the advanced tab, and let's see what they're telling us to do. They're telling us to set this as fixed units. Okay, task type is fixed units. So let's do that very quickly. Yeah, this is the default, that is fixed units. So since this is set up correctly, we just click on OK. The other possible values are given here. We have the fixed duration, we've talked about that, and we also have the fixed work. So I'll cancel out of this and we can move right along. Setting task duration. Now, tasks without any duration are called milestone. And MS Project allows users to set various units of task duration such as hours, days, weeks, months, years, and so on, depending on how big the project is. And steps to specify the duration type for the task are as follows. The first one is to select the task name on the Gantt chart table, click information in the properties group on the task tab to display the task information dialog box. In the duration text box on the general tab, you enter the duration or click the up and down arrows to either increase or decrease the duration. You can specify the time unit and click OK to save the changes. This should be pretty straightforward. We've done this so many times. Open any projects, like let's say incorporate feedback on the software specifications. I'll double click on this to get the task information dialog box, and make sure in the general tab go to duration. These are the up and down. So you can increase these or reduce depending on your needs. I'll cancel. I don't want to make the changes. Next, setting milestones. As we mentioned earlier, this is what you're talking about. Okay. Tasks without any duration are called milestones. And to create a milestone, you simply indicate the task duration as 0 on the duration column in the Gantt chart table. If the user wants to mark a task with some duration as a milestone, click the Advanced tab of the Task Information dialog box and select Mark Task as Milestone in the checkbox. A milestone is represented in the Gantt chart view with a black diamond shape than a taskbar. Let's do this very quickly. So we change to the website look and feel project. Now, this review meeting with a customer, we want to set this as a milestone. You click on it. In the task tab, you can click on the properties group, click on the information icon to get the task information dialog box. Then after this, you go to advanced tab. Then down here towards the bottom on the left side, you place a check mark on the mark task as milestone checkbox. Then click on OK, and this becomes a milestone. Okay, let's move right along. Recurring tasks and effort-driven tasks. Now, a recurring task is a task that is repeated regularly through the execution of the project, and it becomes a tedious task for the user to create all the tasks for each occurrence. MS Project automatically creates the recurring task if once designated with a period of recurrence. Though MS Project facilitates to change the type of task either as manually scheduled or auto-scheduled, the user can make auto-scheduled tasks as effort-driven tasks. Now we want to set the recurring tasks, and tasks that occur repeatedly in a project are called the recurring tasks. Such tasks such as conducting weekly meeting every Friday or generating a monthly report can be considered as recurring tasks, and using MS Project, users can set up such tasks to recur. In the Insert group on the Task tab, you click the down arrow on the task option and select recurring task. In the task name dialog box, enter a name for the recurring task, and in the duration text box, you enter the duration for the task, such as 5 days, to set the task duration to 5 days. Use a recurrence pattern by either selecting daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly radio buttons. You specify the range of recurrence, which is the start and end period between which tasks should occur, and then finally click on OK to save the recurring tasks. We have this example here. We can see the task information dialog box, and we have the weekly project status meeting. Let's go back to the website look and feel project. Okay. And this is a weekly project status meeting. Now just click at the very bottom. After that, you click on task. I'm in the task tab, okay? In the insert group, you go to tasks, click on the drop down arrow, then select recurring task. We type in this is supposed to occur weekly, once per week, and this is supposed to be done every Friday. And then you select this maybe should end after 3 occurrences. I'm going to do that. And remember, we said the meeting occurs every Friday. Okay. Then once you make sure that everything is done correct, everything seems okay, then click on the OK button. If I expand this, you notice we have 3 occurrences. And notice the first one is scheduled for Friday 24th, the next one on 31st, and the last one on 7th. This is what we want. We can save our work and then move right along. Effort-driven tasks. Now in MS Project, manually scheduled tasks cannot be set up as effort-driven tasks. Only auto-scheduled tasks can be effort-driven. If resource assignments are adjusted, the duration might change, but the number of hours of effort and resource need to be to complete the task remain the same. While adding or deleting resource assignment in an effort-driven task, the amount of work is distributed equally among all the resources. Effort-driven schedule uses the formula duration equals the amount of work divided by the number of units assigned to perform that particular task. MS Project recalculates the duration of task accordingly if resources, that is units, are added or removed from the task assignment. Okay, arranging and splitting of tasks. Now, a task can be split by performing the following steps. Click the Split Task button under the Schedule group on the Task tab, and this displays the Split Task information box, and the box guides the user to set the start date for the continuation of the task. Move the cursor on the Gantt chart taskbar to adjust the pointer's position till it displays the date where the user wants to start the split. Then drag it to the right till the box containing the date on which the user wants the task to begin again, and release the mouse. To rejoin the split task, you place the mouse over the taskbar until the cursor appears, and then drag the split taskbar to join the split portion of the taskbar. Okay. Now, let's look at this Delphi mode. We go back to the website look and feel. Now, before we do this, I would like to answer the question, why are we splitting tasks? It could be maybe you have reassigned the people who are assigned to do that task to some more pressing issues. Also, maybe they could be sick or something like that. So that is why you might want to split the task. Now, what you're going to do, we click on Delphi mode, then we come and under the schedule group in the task tab, you click on the split task. Okay. So I'll click this and notice now that it's split up. Now you can rejoin them by clicking and dragging, then reuniting, and it becomes one big task. Okay, so that is how you split and join a task. We move right along, and notice once I did this, it actually inserted some dates for me. And as usual for manually scheduled tasks, there is this red squiggly line. Now, understanding constraints. Now, when a task is created in MS Project and set to auto schedule, by default, the as soon as possible constraint is selected. And in simple word, the task is going to start as soon as the project starts, assuming that no dependencies exist, and that will delay the start of the project. Timing of a task depends upon its start and finish dates, dependencies, the task type, and any effort-driven setting and constraints. And the following table lists all the constraints and explain their effects on the task's timing. Now, we can see each of these constraints and the effect. We have the as soon as possible, which is the default, and the task starts as early in the schedule as possible based on the project dependencies and project start date. Late as possible, the task occurs as late as possible in the project schedule based on the project dependencies and project finish date. Finish no earlier than, the end of the task cannot occur any earlier than the date specified. Finish no later than, it means that the end of the task cannot occur any later than the date specified. We have the must finish on, meaning that a given task must finish on a given date. Must start on, the task must start by that particular date. Start no earlier than means that the task cannot start any earlier than the date specified, and the start no later than, the task cannot start any later than the date specified. We want to look at examples of this using the graduation party. The latest possible is like towards the end. Maybe something like the collecting of a litter or something. That one can be done as late as possible into the party. Finish no earlier than means that you're not supposed to finish a given task earlier than a given time. Like let's say the cooking of food, you can't finish that, like maybe you're supposed to finish that like 30 minutes prior to the arrival of the guests. Finish no later than means that we can't finish a task later than a given time. A good example is that we can finish recording video no later than when the last guest leaves. These two, that is must finish on and must start on, they are quite rigid, meaning that some given event must finish on a given time or must start on a given time. We must finish cooking food by 1 hour or 30 minutes prior to the first guest arriving. Must start on, that is serving of food must start either immediately after the prayers that was given there or whichever other event that you want. Start no earlier than means that you can't start something earlier than a given time. For example, like the serving of refreshment can start no earlier than when the first guest arrives. And the other one is start no later than means that the start no later than is like maybe you want the music to be playing by when the guests arrive, and maybe you're expecting your first guest at 6 o'clock. So you can maybe set it to 5 minutes or the given time that you want before the first guest arrives. So that is the start no later than constraint. Now, how do we set this constraint? Now, setting a constraint involves selecting the type of constraint in the task information dialog box, and some constraints work together with the chosen date, and the steps to set a task constraints are given below. You select the task name from the Gantt chart table and click the information option on the task tab to display the task information dialog box. You click the Advanced tab and select the appropriate constraint from the constraint type drop-down list. If the constraint requires a date, you select from the constraint date type drop-down list, then click on OK to save the settings. And we have this illustration here. So let's do this very quickly. You can switch to the website look and feel or the graduation party. Okay, let's use the website look and feel. We want to give one of those constraints to the prototype. So click on prototype, then select the information to give you the task information. The next thing you need to do is to ensure that this is an auto-scheduled task. Once you do that, you go to the Advanced tab. Now, if you don't do that, this is not going to be active. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. If it's manually scheduled, I go to the Advanced tab. You notice that this constraint becomes grayed out. But once you take it back to auto-scheduled, this becomes, you can actually now select the drop-down and select the constraint. You can select any of these, like for example, you select start no earlier than, then you give us a date. Maybe you can select June 15th, come and click there. And this is 2020. If you're watching this later than that, then click on the OK button. And if you look on the information column, you notice there's a calendar, meaning that there's a constraint applied here. And notice on the bar for this particular task, it's given a particular start date, okay? Now we move right along. Setting a deadline. Now deadlines are not considered to be constraints, though in MS Project the deadlines are set in the constraint section of the task information dialog box. In MS Project, setting a deadline displays a symbol in the indicator column of the Gantt chart view if the task has run past the deadline that alerts the project manager to take corrective actions. How do we set a deadline? You select the task name and then click the information option in the task tab to display the task information dialog box. Under the constraint section of the Advanced tab, you select the date in the deadline field and then click OK to save the deadline setting. I'm quite sure we are all aware of deadlines, either like work assignments, school assignments, or something like that. So to do this, switch to any, let's go back to the website look and feel. Then maybe we can set follow up with team. Double click on it to display the task information dialog box. Remember, the first step is to make this an auto-scheduled task. Then come down here to advanced. And by the way, deadline, I don't think requires you to do that. You can still set a deadline even on manually scheduled tasks. Let's set this to some date in August. Okay, maybe we can set it to 10th. So this task should be done by 10th of August 2020. if you're watching this on a later date. Then click on OK, and the deadline is set on that particular task. We move right on. Okay, so this is the illustration of what it is that we've just done. And finally, we come to the end of what it is we were supposed to learn today. Let's review very quickly. Project managers must build agile project plans to deal with uncertainties in the project. In case of auto-scheduling, any changes in task scheduling are automatically recalculated and updated. In case of manual scheduling, any change in task scheduling does not affect the project schedule unless changed manually. Users can create new tasks by entering information in the tracking Gantt table or in the task information dialog box, or by importing tasks and project information from either Microsoft Excel or Outlook. MS Project identify 3 types of tasks: fixed duration, fixed units, and fixed work. Tasks which occur repeatedly in a project life cycle can be set up as recurring tasks. And finally, certain tasks for which work hours required per resource to complete the task is affected by the resources assigned are called effort-driven tasks. So we've come to the end of the session. You have yourselves a nice time and God bless. Bye. See you in the next session.